Hey there guys, JWF1 here, and today I've got a little bit of a requested video from most of the team bosses, and it's pretty much information about Season 2, not just to the team bosses, but also the viewers as well, and also a little reminder of the team bosses if they've forgotten some certain aspects. So, Season 2 is nearly here. As promised, I would do it after the Hungarian Grand Prix highlights, and here they are really. So, let's have a look then. So, first of all, first one, expanding. As you may or may not know, IFMC is expanding to 3 tiers next season rather than 2 in Season 1. We have the main series, which is 18 or over, eligible for 18 or over, and it's for anyone, really, between the majors. And as long as they've not retired, of course. For any of these series, they need to not be retired. So, IFMC GP2 is the second tier, and it's eligible for people who are 18 to 30 years old. And they must make sure they have 0 to 1.9 years F1 experience to be eligible to compete in GP2. And IFMC GP3, which is the brand new one, is the third tier, and it's for 16 or over, and it is for anyone to compete in. So basically, IFMC GP3 is pretty much for young drivers if they enter their way of either getting to IFMC GP2 or the main tier itself. And for any experienced drivers coming in, it's their way to get to the top class. And for the top class, or their way to get back into the top class if they were in it last season and they were unable to find a seat in Season 2. So that's that. That's why IFMC GP3 is here. And it's also just to make the time card a little bit more fuller, if you could say, because, you know, we got rid of practice sessions because of issues. And so that was pretty much brought in, really. So, changes then for IFMC Season 2. There are 4 things here. So, first of all, IFMC now has a tyre war between Season 1 suppliers Goodyear and Bridgestone. All the teams have confirmed their tyres for next season, and I'll go through them right now. So, AMP have Goodyear, Astro Racing have Bridgestone, Bud Light Lime have Bridgestone, Eldorado have Bridgestone, Etihad have Goodyear, GRM also have Goodyear, Monster have Bridgestone, Morangine's Racing also have Bridgestone, as do Red Bull Audi, as do Scuderia Racing, and as do Walmsley Grand Prix. So only 3 teams have Goodyear, whereas the other 8 have Bridgestone tyres. So that's that. So there is a tyre war next season between Goodyear and Bridgestone. Bridgestone having the upper hand in terms of how many teams they're supplying. Driver contracts. Now, it's slightly changed, not in terms of how you sign, but pretty much it's to avoid what happened during pre-season testing from the likes of Carlos Sainz Jr. and Adrian Sutil. Once you have signed a driver, that's it. You can't change your mind. You have to stick with that driver. And that's it, really. So, the only time you can change them, really, is if they get a race ban. Like what happened with Felipe Massa. Oops, spoilers for people who haven't watched Austria yet. Anyway, test drivers. The teams are now allowed to choose up to 3 test drivers if they want to. They don't have to, but they're allowed up to 3 if they want to. They can either have no test drivers if they wanted to. It's up to them, really. And the tokens, they're changing a little bit. Because last season, we discovered that the tokens were, were a little bit over, if you get what I mean. A little bit broken in a way, because none of the teams would run out of tokens by the end of the season. Everyone would have tokens left over. So this season, it's changed to make sure that happens. There are 30 opportunities in the season for people to do upgrades. However, there's only 25 tokens up for grabs. So there may be a chance that there will be a team that may run out of tokens before the end of the season, and there may be some that don't carry an upgrade to a race because they're trying to save up tokens. Now the teams have to think logical about where they want to spend tokens. So it's now been cut down to 25. Now you may be thinking, why 25? You'll see in a bit with the calendar, unless you already know from the chat. Anyway, that's changing for the tokens. IFMC GP2 changes. The bonus points are changing. The point system isn't, that's staying the same, but the bonus points are. So instead of getting 4 bonus points for pole position, drivers will now only get 2. 2, and for fastest lap, instead of 2, they'll only get 1. So that's that then, really. And the sprint race grid. Now, changing. It's going to be like real life now. So there's now only one qualifying session for GP2. That will take place on the Friday, and that will Friday or Thursday, depending on if it's at Monaco. Whoops, spoilers. And basically, that will determine the grid for the feature race that comes the following day. In terms of the sprint race, though, there will not be a qualifying session. For them, they will have a reverse grid like in real life. Whoever the top 8 are at the end of the feature race will get reversed for the sprint race, whereas everyone else will stay the same. Whereas everyone from 9th to 22nd will stay in the positions they finished in the feature race, just to make it realistic as well. So now that I've found the ability to do it as well, we are going to be doing that. So yeah, that's that. IFMC GP3 then. Now some things you need to know about that. The point system for this series is the same as GP2. So, first place 10, second place 8, third place 6, fourth place 5, fifth place 4, sixth place 3, seventh place 2, and eighth place 1. And the new bonus points that have come in for GP2 as well. So, 2 bonus points for pole position and 1 bonus point for fastest lap. There will be 2 races, but they won't be called a feature and sprint race because none of them will include a pit stop. I know they call them that in real life, but I don't call them a feature race and sprint race because I always class a feature and a sprint race as, one race having a pit stop and the other one not having a pit stop. So, because both of them are not having a pit stop, I'm just going to call them race 1 and race 2. So, there will be 2 races. Race 1 will be 25% and race 2 will be 20%. Qualifying is the same as GP2, so they only have 1 qualifying session with the second race. The top 8 from the feature race getting reversed. Races will take place on Saturday and Sunday, unless they're in Monaco, and that Monaco, race 1 will take place on a Friday, as will GP2 when it comes to the feature race. And the chassis that the teams will be using is the 2008 Formula Nippon car. There isn't a GP3 model, unfortunately, for Grand Prix 3, so I've just found something that might be suitable for the series, and that's a Formula Nippon 2008 car. So there you go. Oh, and also, I forgot to mention this there, something to do with power as well. The cars themselves will be 100 brake horsepower less than the GP2 guys. The GP2 cars will be the same brake horsepower as Season 1, and the GP3 will be 100 brake horsepower less than the GP2 cars. And also, GP3 will also be running Renault engines as well, just like GP2, just to make it realistic, as in real life. I know they use Mechachrome in real life, but Mechachrome is Renault. They're just past Renault engines. Okay, the IFMT driver lineup then. So, everyone has confirmed the drivers in every category, and you'll find out when these gets announced in the highlights if you haven't seen the live streams themselves or have been keeping up on Twitter. But anyway, in the series, let's have a look then. So, AMP Audi will have Nico Hulkenberg and Stoffel Vandoorne at the team. Astro Porsche, which is a brand new team, Astro Race Team, running Porsche engines, will have Max Chilton and Jarno Trulli. Bud Light Line Motorsport, brand new team as well, running Season 1 Audi engines, will have Romain Grosjean and Simon Pagenaud. Eldorado Ferrari will be having Sergio Perez and Valtteri Bottas. Etihad BMW will be having Fernando Alonso and Pascal Wehrlein. GRM Ferrari will be having Daniel Ricciardo and Felipe Massa. Monster Mercedes will be having Kevin Magnussen and Max Verstappen. Moinjoins Racing BMW, Season 1 BMW engines, I should point out, will be having Nico Rosberg and Alexander Rossi. Red Bull Audi will be having Lewis Hamilton and Joseph Newgarden. Scuderia Ferrari will be having Sebastian Vettel and Esteban Ocon. And Walmsley Mugen Honda will be having Jenson Button and Mark Webber. Walmsley is also a new team as well, who replaced GB Racing because GB Racing pulled out at the end of Season 1. You'll find out where they pulled out as well, coming up in the highlights to come. Now, the IFMC GP2 driver lineup. We have Adidas Motorsport, who'll be having Connor Daly and Antonio Fuoco. EYDPGP will be having Mitch Evans and Charles Leclerc. Fantai Racing will be having Luca Ghiotto and Raffaele Marcello. GRM Junior will be having Jolyon Palmer and George Russell. Martini Motorsport will be having Carlos Sainz Jr. and Oliver Rowland. Moinjoins Racing Jr. will be having James Collado and Jordan King. Pertec Grand Prix, which is a brand new team replacing SG Motorsports because they're focusing on the top class rather than having two teams for IFMC and IFMC GP2. They'll be having Ricky Collard and Gabby Chavez. Scuderia Junior, formerly known as Alitalia Junior, by the way, and also Martini Motorsport, for those of you who are wondering, formerly known as Netflix Motorsport, they are. But Scuderia Junior, formerly known as Alitalia Junior team, will have Rio Haryanto and Louis Rosilla. Steelers Racing will be having Nobuharu Matsushita and Matteo Caroli. Let me pronounce that again. Nobuharu Matsushita and Matteo Caroli. Willows Grand Prix will be having Alex Lynn and Pierre Gasly. And Yorkshire Motorsport will be having Will Stevens and Callum Illett. So they are the GP2 driver lineup for Season 2. And the GP3 one next. Here they are then. So, GP3, start off then. Astro Racing will be having Nick De Vries and Alexander Albon. Auto Jamaica will be having Vitaly Petrov and Scott Dixon. AYP Racing will be having Mick Schumacher, the son of 7-time Formula 1 world champion Michael Schumacher, and Christian Vittoris. Core North Racing will be having Kimi Raikkonen and Nico Kari. Legion Racing will be having Antonio Felix da Costa and Helio Castroneves. Mars Grand Prix will be having Robert Kubica and Maximilian Gunther. Republic of Ireland Racing will be having Nick Heifeld and Kamui Kobayashi. Rochdea will be having Antonio Giovinazzi and Artem Markelov. Status Monster will be having Tatiana Calderon and Biska Weiser. Viva ETGP will be having Lance Stroll and Norman Nato. And finally, Willows Racing will be having Takuma Sato and Alfonso Celis Jr. So they are the driving lineups for IFMC GP3 and all of IFMC tiers. Now, calendar. This is important. You will have noticed there's somewhat different from last season. That's because if you didn't hear the news, modded tracks are going to be in Season 2. I did a test with them to get rid of the graphics, and they work okay. They do lag at the start, but they get better progressively during the race, so that's a good thing. So we're going to be having modded tracks next season, and all the tracks that are on this calendar I've tested and they work. So we're going to start off then with a pre-season test in Catalonia. Now, some of the tracks, such as, the 11 tracks that we had last season, which are on the calendar, apart from Argentina, because you know why, will be the ones on the game, because I feel like there's no reason to change them because they worked incredibly well and they produced some exciting racing. So the tracks that we used last season that are on this season calendar will be the tracks that are on the actual game. So Catalonia, which is on the actual game, will be the first pre-season test on the 9th to 12th of September 2016, and then there'll be a second pre-season test also at Catalonia, just to replicate real life. There's only 2 pre-season tests now, just like real life, also at Catalonia, and that'll take place on the 16th to 19th of September. And then the first race will take place in Australia from the 24th to 25th of September. And then the second round will be in Brazil for the 1st to 2nd of October, in Sao Paulo that is. Then there'll be a GP2 pre-season testing, which will be at Magny-Cours on the 3rd of October, so one day after the Brazilian Grand Prix. And then the teams will be heading to Bahrain, which is the modded track, for the 7th to 9th of October, and that is where GP2 will be kicking off their Season 2 championship. Then there'll be another feeder series pre-season test straight after that at Magny-Cours, but it'll be for GP3 this time on the 10th of October, specifically my birthday. My 19th birthday, I should say. And then after that, round 4 will be at San Marino in Imola between the 14th to 16th of October. And GP2 will be there, and it is also where GP3 will be making their debut. Next up will be the Turkish Grand Prix in Istanbul between the 22nd to 23rd of October. Then Monaco, which will spread to 4 days like in real life. The Monaco Grand Prix for GP2 and GP3 will be there as well, between the 27th to 30th of October. Round 7 will take place at the Spanish Grand Prix in Catalonia, between the 4th to 6th of November. And as you can see, GP2 and GP3 again. A mid-season test will happen at Catalonia as well. And that will take place on the 7th of November, so one day after the Spanish Grand Prix, so a mid-season test there. Then the drivers head off to Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix, the top class that is, and the top class will also be heading afterwards to the European Grand Prix in Jerez. Canada takes place on the 19th to 20th of November, and Jerez takes place on the 26th to 27th of November. The Austrian Grand Prix plays host to round 10 in Spielberg for the 2nd to 4th of December, and that will be GP2 and GP3 as well being there. The British Grand Prix at Silverstone, 9th to 11th of December, GP2 and GP3 will be there as well. You would have noticed as well, if you look at Spain and Canada as well, before I forget, there's a week break. Now, because there's a reason for this. IFMC will be on at the same week as IF1C, which is my second league, which will run on 2016. And there will be some cases where IF1C will take a week break and IFMC will take a week break as well, because it clashes with F1, and I don't want it to clog with the schedule. So that's why there's a week break there, because of IF1C and F1. Unless it's the American Grand Prix, I think. I think it might be that, actually. So, where was I? Oh, yes. The British Grand Prix, 9th and 11th of December 2016. GP2 and GP3 will be there. Then there'll be a young drivers test straight after, a day after the British Grand Prix on the 12th of December 2016. Then the drivers will head off. GP2, GP3 and the top class will be head off on the 16th to 18th of December at the Hungarian Grand Prix in Budapest. And then there will be a 2-week break because of Christmas and New Year's. And then the drivers will come back on the 6th to 8th of January in 2017. GP2 and GP3 will be there for the German Grand Prix in Hockenheim. Belgium is next in Spa-Francorchamps on the 13th to 15th of January. GP2 and GP3 will be there. The Italian Grand Prix in Monza, GP2 and GP3 will be there on the 20th to 22nd of January 2017. Then Magny-Cours play host to round 16. I made it quite interesting to put them there for the French Grand Prix, and that will be the 27th to 29th of January. GP2 and GP3 will be there, and that will be the last weekend for GP3 of Season 2. And that might be a finale for them. Maybe a championship decider there. We'll see. The Malaysian Grand Prix will then play host to round 17 in Kuala Lumpur, the 4th to 5th of February. Then the Japanese Grand Prix in Suzuka, the 11th to 12th of February. Then Abu Dhabi. Now I've made a little mistake there. That should say in brackets GP2 as well. Abu Dhabi Yas Marina, 17th to 19th of February 2017. GP2 will be there, and that will be their last weekend for Season 2 as well. I've just forgot to put them in brackets. And then finally, the Pacific Grand Prix, which will be the final round of the championship in Adelaide between the 25th to 26th of February 2017. Then after that, there will be an end-of-season test in Yas Marina on the 3rd of March. Then a GP2 end-of-season test on the 4th of March, also at Yas Marina. And a GP3 end-of-season test in Yas Marina on the 5th of March. And that's it. So that's the Season 2 calendar for you. Let me know what you think about it, guys. I think that's going to be a very interesting championship. A 20-race calendar. And for 25 tokens. So there's your explanation why the tokens are 25 instead of a little bit less, because we've now got a 20 race calendar and also 10 days of testing during the season in between. Remember, you can't do any upgrades during the end of season test either, because that is not allowed. Japan will be your last opportunity to, Pacific will be your last opportunity to do upgrades. And that's it, guys. So briefly, there was not much really to talk about, but there were some changes there that were really important to talk about there. So that's it, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. So thank you very much for watching. I've been JWF1, and the next video should hopefully be the GP2 highlights from Belgium from Season 1. I'm trying to get every highlights out before Season 2 starts. That is my target. So until then, I've been JWF1, and I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care.